more recently, but I don't want to talk about this a little bit, is the interaction you had with Drake, with him messaging you, obviously one of the biggest artists in the world, and insulting you and kind of coming after you privately. And you just gave him a music critique. Like, I don't even think you even said anything particularly offensive. So, like, or that would offend him, not even like offensive in the traditional sense. But so, talk to me about that, sort of becoming a bigger part of the ecosystem and how that social media and the way that you create content changes that dynamic with artists.
I couldn't even tell you. Like, I'm so oblivious to it most of the time. And because all of it's happening on the end, I have an interesting, and I talk to my friends about this. I have an interesting kind of fame where obviously there's like people who hang on my every word and they're obsessed with everything that I say. And sometimes they want me to die. And sometimes they pop in my DMs and threaten me and go psychotic and so on and so forth. Like, and this is all on the internet, but simultaneously I can still go to the grocery store and just like not be bothered and nobody even cares. And you know, I'm just like literally any other fuck, you know, inside the pasta aisle, which I like. I think that's great. I don't ever want to not be able to just go in the pasta aisle without being, you know, sort of accosted about a 6 out of 10 that I gave something. So, you know, so I mean, it's kind of weird to feel like I'm part of the culture, as it were, because like I don't even know I can't even quantifiably tell you to what degree that is. You know, there's like no number for it. You know, like obviously, I'm probably the only music critic that Drake is attacking in the DMs. But like, what, you know, what does that really mean in terms of a numbers perspective? You know, it's like, how do you quantify that in terms of like my level of influence or significance or importance or whatever? I have no idea. I have no clue. You know, I think I'm in a very unique position that nobody else is in and nobody else has been in. And I sort of take solace in that. I take solace in the fact that I'm in a unique position, you know. I think I'm a part of the conversation, you know. I'll say that I'm definitely a part of the conversation, like the general music discourse. I am definitely a part of, in terms of the things that I say, the anticipation for whatever I'm going to say, the reactions to the things that I say that people have, and even down to if I go on some kind of user generated music review site or something like that, I see people throwing down like, you know, multi-paragraph reviews and they'll end it off like, yep, I'm kind of feeling a light 8 on this one. And it's, you know, it's just funny to kind of see my scoring system kind of casually turning up in people's kind of vocabulary. You know what I mean? Much in the same way that people might decimal point something as they were kind of maybe more of like a pitchfork reader or something like that. So, you know, it's definitely interesting. It's interesting to be a part of the conversation. And that's really all that my goal ever was, you know. But the thing is, like, at the end of the day, when I first started this, and obviously the point was to get an audience, I thought that the impact, the degree to which I would have an impact on it would always be like super, 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 super. And it still is to a degree, like super localized. You know what I mean? Like, I never thought in, you know, even the craziest, wildest dreams that I have, that multi-platinum selling rappers would be like, you know, curious about what I have to say. And, you know, like, you know, to either to compliment me or attack me, you know? So, you know, it's different. It's interesting.
Did that specific interaction with Drake change the way, especially because he, you know, made a comment about you and your wife, and kind of came at the personal attack slant too? Did that change the way that you were thinking about how harshly you critique music in some cases?
No, there was no reason for that. You know, there was no reason for that, honestly. I mean, you know, granted, I have sort of like shared quite a few Drake memes on the internet. And I have obviously, like, you know, endorsed and had my own commentary on things like the Pusha T diss track, for example. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You know, but never at any point in a review have I ever been like, fuck Drake, he's trash, he's the worst thing that's ever happened. That, you know, it's like, and sort of, you know, attack his loved ones or family or his kid or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't have like beef with the guy like that, nor do I have beef with any guy like that in the music industry. So, you know, yeah, I think he went a little far with that, honestly. And it was just kind of, it struck me as just more weird than hurtful. It was just like a very odd thing to kind of, obsess over, especially for a guy whose own dating history is all over the internet and, made a big deal of for a myriad of different reasons, some of which frankly are kind of embarrassing. It just sort of seems like an odd thing for him to focus on with somebody else, despite, kind of the glass house that he lives in on that very topic.
Crazy to me that I mean, crazy and not crazy, because I also deal with internet creators who are very sensitive about what people like me, a reporter, say about them. So I understand. The thing that I've always said to people, like, even billionaires who have called me and yelled at me for something I wrote about their businesses and whatever it may be, like, I'm just like, you should be thankful that I care. That's it, man. Like, you're worth my time. Like, that's what it means. Like, when I write like something about what they're doing, and I think it's the same with you. Like, I mean, especially with Drake or whatever else, like with the massive artists, maybe that's a little different, but especially the people that like would get upset that are sort of in that middle to high tier, be like, Anthony Fantano cares about your music. That should say something. He cared enough to make a video about your music.
Yeah, it's not even the negative reaction. I mean, I welcome a negative reaction if it's in regards to the substance of what I actually said. I recently did an interview with Joey Badass, and he just like, in his own way, he kind of called me out on the review because he said like, hey, there was this one track on the record about capital Steez and my cousin. And let me clarify this. Did that make you cry? Because I listened to it on stream and I cried in reaction to the track. And I said, yeah, it did. Made me cry. And he says, and you gave my shit a 7? You gave my shit a fucking 7? And that song made you fucking cry? And I said, well, I mean, there were other tracks that I felt other ways about on the record and da-da-da-da-da. But he said like, well, but still it elicited an emotion from you and it should get extra points and da-da-da-da-da. And, the thing is like, that's a valid argument. That's his perspective. That's his feelings. And he can get mad about it. He can throw it in my face. He could argue it. At the end of the day, it's all fair game because it's in reaction to the things I actually said in my own perspective. It would be another thing if he said, you gave my shit a 7 and, this on your mom, this on your dad, this on your brother, this on this, that would just be like ridiculous. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like get heated, get crazy, have a reaction, have a response, have an opinion, call me out, whatever you want to do, as long as it's actually in response to the substance of what I've said, I welcome any and all reactions and detractors and so on and so forth. Like, I've done nothing but get hell on the internet for the past 10 years for like various opinions that I've had. I'm not afraid of another fucker, 20 million, 30 million, 500 followers or not with a take on something I said, it's go for it, like is it not the point? I'm not putting out the things that I say, like I'm not an idiot. I'm not putting out the things that I say with the assumption there'll be no discussion of it. That it's like I'm not under the presumption that the discourse stops with me. Like obviously, like I see what I do is just, like kind of like I'm sort of like lighting the tinder. You know what I mean? And from there, the conversation. I'm not the conversation starter, but like I certainly jump in and I get people kind of like bouncing back and forth. I give people pause. I give people the ability to kind of think more about why it is they like or dislike something. It's a part of discourse. I welcome and I expect discourse to happen. And I expect dissatisfaction to happen in regards to things that I say. And if you're an artist and you're dissatisfied with the take that I have, I mean, say everything that you want, as long as it's like actually in response to the take.
Thanks for watching Visionaries on YouTube. For more content, please subscribe to the Overcome channel.